Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SA Accounting Academy. Here's a short clip on one of our previous webinars. I hope that you really do enjoy it.
All right, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to our POPIA webinar series number 10. Can you believe we're doing number 10 already? The 10th month that we are doing this, and today we will be focusing on the latest guidance for information officers. Right, I apologize off the bat for not being able to draw a straight line. Apparently that makes you completely crazy if you can draw a straight line. So, and I apologize in advance when I do draw a straight line by accident. All right. But that's what our webinar today is all about. It's about information officers and all the latest guidance that was issued around that, because there have been lots of controversy. If you go and look at the Act, I mean, people have been getting POPIA compliant for forever, for like the last 10 months or whatever. Those of you that have been on top of things. And other people still have waited because in terms of the law, POPIA Act, the Act actually says that you need to appoint an information officer first. You need to appoint them and then register them, and then they can start fulfilling their tasks. So in certain cases, and in most of our cases, we've sort of had the cart before the horses, because we've had to. We can't wait. And I mean, we are still not able to register information officers to date. Right, so we can't wait. We have to get cracking with that. Right, but let's just look at a little bit of the normal housekeeping slides. I'm going to start off with my presenter blurb. Right, that is me, Letty Janse van Vuren. A little bit of background about me. Mostly what I'm responsible for now is the training and webinar hosting. So I write the material, I do the research, and then on top of that, I also do consultation work for auditing firms or whoever needs help with either compliance in terms of file reviews or technical advice on outcomes of an audit or whatever the case may be. Normally, I get those panicky phone calls when the regulators want to go and visit the offices. So either the psycho or the URBA visits, I get those help, they're coming, and then we go through the prep process. All right. Okay. I just found this little man sitting here, and it says their privacy policy. We don't really know what data we have about you we have, or what we're doing with it. When we figure all this out, we'll let you know. Okay, so this is the little user that sits here, and there's a privacy policy, and he really doesn't understand it. And by the looks of it and the sound of it, the people actually putting the privacy policy together also don't understand it. Right. So in terms of the privacy policy, we need to know that there's somebody that must take responsibility for that. And that's what the information officer is. The information officer is the organization or the body, the private or the public body's port of call. And basically the contact between the entity and the information regulator. So that's why the information officer is there. It is also there in terms of legal proceedings, so that we've got somebody who is accountable. Not just responsible, but accountable. Right? Remember, accountability being one of the 8 conditions of POPIA. So you have to comply with accountability, and you can only do that if you have an accounting officer that is accountable. All right, so there's a whole lot of practical considerations that come through there. So looking at what's on the agenda for today, let's look at a little bit more detail. I'm going to start off with just a quick recap to see where did we end off on the previous webinar. Then we're going to look quickly at what POPIA says about information officers. And that's just, I've given you screenshots of the duties and stuff. Then just FYI, the 3 processes that have been prioritized by the information regulator to be handled before the grace period expires. And the grace period expires at the end of June. So from the 1st of July, you must be able to prove compliance with POPIA. Not to start and say, okay, well, now it's the 1st of July, and now I must start complying. You should have been complying already since the 1st of June or 1st of July 2020 already. Then the grace period to prove compliance was brought into being. But you still need to complete and comply with the regulations and with the Act. So if you've had any data breaches and you haven't reported them, and the 1st of July pops around, remember the Act applies retrospectively. So the information regulator will then say, okay, so why did you not report this data breach? Slap on the wrist, there's a penalty. Admin penalty up to 10 million Rand, off you go. Right. So we want to avoid that situation. So please make sure that you're okay with that. And then the majority of today will be focused on the latest guidance. The guidance note that was issued by the information regulator relating to including the following: the obligations and liability of an information officer and deputy information officer. So an IO and a DIO is an information officer and deputy information officer. Who can be registered as an IO, updating the details of IOs, designation of a DIO, delegation of authority by an IO to a DIO. So those are some of the nigglies that we need to sort out. And the reason why the guidance that was issued is to provide clarity, because obviously the Act was written a bit ambiguously and there's no clear guidance in the Act. So everybody is looking to the information regulator for guidance in this regard. And then lastly, just some updates on the recent guidance relating to codes of conduct. If any of you need to worry about that for your industries or for your clients' industries, please just make sure that you'll deal with this. I have included all the documents for you that was issued, so that shouldn't be a problem. But, and then I'll just end off with some other important issues to remember and practical things that you need to consider. Right. So let's start off then with a short recap. Where did we end off last time? Last time we ended off with security safeguards. You'll remember that Karabo and Steph handled the majority of the presentation there. Steph looked at the compliance safeguards as well as the best practice recommendations, and the case studies were handled, and as well as the common security risks were handled by Karabo. Now, remember that every single webinar that we've dealt with up to now in this webinar series is meant to provide you with a better understanding. And I think I had my aha moment last month only. And we were doing webinar 9 when finally it hit me that, oh, so this is what they mean with all this technical jargon, the IT stuff, because you need to be able to understand the IT jargon, right? Very specifically, you need to have some knowledge on that, even, well, especially if you are the information officer, right? The recap document, let me just tell you the recap document. So this is what's been summarized. That's the document I showed you that is available as a source document. So it is available in a separate source document, and it deals with these 11 items. There's links into the relevant legislation, and we are focusing today on the information officer, right? So if you need to know the definitions or whatever, this little 10-page document will give you a nice summary. Okay. Hi, Ingrid. I see you've got a problem with the slides. I'll get Jeremiah to just send those to you, or to just make sure that it is available. Normally, if you go to your profile and you click on your link, it should be available there. Right. But we'll have a look. Okay, so the webinar now that will start, we are going to look at the latest guidance for information officers. And here we go. All right. The slides are already available, actually. So Leslie, the slides are already available. You should already have them. Alternatively, you can just relax and just look at them on the screen now. All right. Let's quickly look at what POPIA says about information officers. What I've done is I've tried to give you a high-level practical summary overview, specifically of the guidance note today. All right, so there's why do we need to have this information officers and whatever? We need to have an information officer because the Act says thou shalt have one. Right. So that's it. they'll be available there. Information officers exist. They are default. There are people who are information officers by default.
I hope that you enjoyed that video. For more of our webinar videos, go to www.accountingacademy.co.za. Thank you and have a lovely day.